What's happening, fantasy football? It's your boy Hot Soup, and I'm coming to you live with our Week 10 Overachievers and Underachievers. Number one, this is a guy that is a set it and forget it, but he went above and beyond. And our number one overachiever for Week 10, Joe Burrow. On Thursday night, Joe Burrow puts up another classic game in a long charade of games that he's played against Baltimore and gotten off. Man, when I say he got off, he got off. 428 yards through the air, 4 TDs, 2 carries for 6 yards. That man was the number one quarterback in Week 10 against Baltimore. Somewhere in Cincinnati, right now, they're painting a mural of Joe Burrow on the side of a bakery. That man just cooked Baltimore's secondary. QB number one, Joe Burrow with 33.72 points in Week 10. Again, he was the number one quarterback. Did his thing, man. Joe Burrow, I see you. Number two on overachievers is going to be Derek Carr. Derek Carr goes off for 269 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4 carries for 17 yards against Atlanta. Put up 20.46 and the icing on the cake, they won the game. That's right, man. They were the underdogs in this game, came and beat the mess out of my boy Kirk Cousins. Derek Carr had a solid day at the office. Number 6 QB overall, gave Kirk Cousins their 4th loss of the season. Put some respect on Derek Carr's name. And our number 3 player, Chuba Hubbard. Chuba Hubbard earned that new $33 million contract extension this week. That man played like he wanted every single bonus in that contract. Ended up number 2 overall running back for Week 10. Chuba Hubbard had 32 touches, 169 yards, and a tutty. Let me tell you something, man. Chuba is a lock and load from here until the rest of the season. You heard it from the soup. Number 4 on our list, Bijan Robinson. Listen, man, Bijan went bonkers this week. The number 1 running back overall against New Orleans. He had 23 touches, 144 yards, and 2 TDs, good for 27.9 points. Bijan Robinson is a lock and load. Set it, forget it. Next on our overachiever list, number 5 was Chase Brown. Boy, Chase Brown was sliding on that Baltimore defense. Chase Brown was the number 4 running back overall in Week 10. 22 touches, 94 yards, and a tutty against Baltimore. Hey, man, seems like Baltimore defense is coming up a lot on this list. Hey, man, I'm just saying. First receiver, and man, I'm telling you right now, Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase is a lock and load, but 11 receptions for 264 yards and 3 touchdowns. This man scored 49.9 fantasy points. He doubled the points of the next best receiver in Week 10. Jamar Chase, the number 1 receiver overall against who? Baltimore. That's right. Seems like this defense is coming up a lot in our overachievers, meaning start your players against Baltimore's defense, and they're going to have top 5 finishes. You heard it from the soup. Jamar Chase, an alien. Our number 7 player on our overachievers list, number 2 receiver on our overachievers list for Week 10, Marquise Valdez-Scantling. Woo! Marquise Valdez-Scantling had a vintage day with Chris Olave on ice. Marquise Valdez-Scantling put the Falcons secondary in a blender. Number 2 overall in fantasy scoring for receivers in Week 10. He had 3 receptions, 109 yards, and 2 tutties. Big dog shit. 24.4 fantasy points for Marquise Valdez-Scantling. Shouts out to Marquise over there in the Bayou. And our number 8 player, and I had him on our sit list this week. He burnt me. Calvin Ridley. Woo! Calvin Ridley has resurrected himself in 2024 ever since Hopkins has departed. Ridley has the keys to unlocking Tennessee's offense. He is the number 3 receiver in Week 10. 5 receptions, 84 yards, and 2 tutties, and he did it with Will Levis. That's something that I needed to see. He also did it against a defense that has been stopping the receiver. With that said, Calvin really needs to now be in lineups from here until the fantasy playoffs. You heard it from the soup. Hey, your boy Calvin Ridley, 22.9 points in fantasy scoring, number 3 overall against the LA Chargers. Stout secondary. Our number 9 player on our overachiever list for week 10 was Tanner Hudson. That's right. Guess who the defense is? Baltimore, you think? Tanner Hudson, 7 receptions, 42 yards, and a tutty. He was the number 3 tight end overall in fantasy scoring with 13.3 fantasy points. Shots out to that boy over there in Cincinnati. Again, Baltimore's defense showed up 4 times on our overachievers list. And with that said, if you have any skilled players going against Baltimore defense, get them in your lineups that week. Hey, yeah, you heard it from the soup. Our last player on our list is going to be Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews went off for 6 receptions, 68 yards. He is back to being the tight end 1 for Lamar Jackson. He is Lamar Jackson's security blanket, and he made splash plays on Thursday Night Football. Number 2 overall in fantasy scoring for tight ends in week 10. 15.8 fantasy points, man. Shouts out to Mark Andrews and that Baltimore offense for that Baltimore win. Those are your top 10 overachievers for week 10. If you have any issues with your lineups or you have questions, inbox me. Man, we could chop it up. Our first player on our underachievers for week 10. Number 1, man, A-Rod. A-Rod looked 53 years old this week. This needs to be his last year in the league. Father Time is undefeated. Aaron Rodgers, 151 yards, no picks, no TDs, no nothing. Just 151 pedestrian yards. So you telling me you got Devontae Adams, you got Breece Hall, and you have Garrett Wilson. And all you could do was throw up 151 yards on Arizona? He was the number 26 quarterback overall in fantasy scoring. You could have picked Will Levis and had a better day. Yeah, you heard it right. Aaron Rodgers, 4.0 points in week 10. Our next player on our underachievers. You got to be more careful. Caleb Williams. It hurts to say, and I had this man back, man, for the first 5, 6, 7 weeks. Oh, man, we about to get rolling. And now all I got in my inbox is people trolling. Caleb Williams is starting to look like a bust. For the record, Caleb Williams is starting to look like a bust. He's holding on to the ball too long. He needs to work on that quick pass game. I don't know why the Bears offensive coordinator and all those smart guys over there have not come to the conclusion that we need to ease this man into having a productive day. Get him some short slants. Get him some quick hits, man. 5-yard outs, 5-yard ends. Get him something, some screen passes. Get him something to get him comfortable first. He don't have to uncork 60-yard bombs at the beginning of the game. You don't. The Bears' offensive play selection is dog water right now. We ain't going to talk about it too much, man. Caleb Williams, number 22 overall quarterback in fantasy scoring with 135 pedestrian yards. He had a worse day than A-Rod. Caleb Williams, 6.3 fantasy points, number 22 overall versus New England. No production at all. Terrible outing. Take your ass to the bench. Number 3 player on our underachievers is going to be Javonte Williams. Javonte Williams was on a milk carton in week 10. 3 touches, 7 yards. He was the number 49 overall running back. When you started him this week, you did not expect 1.70 points. I'm telling you right now, you did not expect that. But hey, man, he's gonna have better days. But you gotta play the matchups. KC is not playing no games. Our number 4 player on our underachievers list, and I had to put him on here because I got a heavy stock in this guy, and he pissed me off. But I understood to bench him in a couple of my leagues this week. J.K. Dobbins. J.K. Dobbins had the volume, 18 touches, 55 yards, no touchdown, number 27 overall in fantasy scoring as a running back. There was only 28 starting running backs this week with the bye weeks. 27 versus Tennessee, man. Listen, J.K. Dobbins was smacked at the line of scrimmage. Those Titans are really Titans. It is what it is, man. He's going to have better days. Do not sit J.K. Dobbins next week. Hey, our number 5 underachiever this week, DeAndre Swift. Listen, man. DeAndre Swift let the Patriots come through and take his bike. Go get your bike back. DeAndre Swift, 17 touches, 65 yards. He was right above J.K. Dobbins at number 26 overall running back with 7 fantasy points. Our 7th player on our underachievers this week, DJ Moore. DJ Moore is tied to one of the worst quarterbacks in the league, Caleb Williams, right now, and is hence why he had 4 receptions for 24 yards this week. Number 54 overall in fantasy scoring. Listen, man, he is frustrated. Caleb is frustrated. Bears fans are frustrated. When's the last time you see me do a show with a Bears hat on? Yeah, what, week 7, week 6? Bears is pissing me off, man. And they pissing off DJ Moore too. 4.2 fantasy points in fantasy scoring. Our number 8 player. Woo-wee. And he was on my top 5 sits. And I had everybody in my inbox. Everybody. When I said, I said sit big names all year long. And I've never caught this much flack about sitting a player than I did CeeDee Lamb. Where all y'all at now? Where all y'all at now? After the game was over, I'm looking through the comments. I don't see nobody saying nothing. 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 Yeah. Where all the flag? Where all my CeeDee Lamb owners at? That was on my head, standing on. They was on my neck. They was standing on my neck, heel in my neck, all the weight on one side, standing on it, trying to kill Soup. But like I told y'all, no Dak, and Dallas looks like a youth flag football team. Dallas season is over. CeeDee Lamb fantasy season over. Check out our episode, I Told You So, and we're going to talk more about it. CeeDee Lamb, number 47 overall in fantasy scoring for receivers this week. 7 receptions, 24 yards, pedestrian numbers against Philly, 5.48 fantasy points. I told you so. Our next player on our underachievers was Dalton Kincaid. Dalton Kincaid played, but was outshined by every other skilled player on Buffalo roster. He ended up number 26 overall tight end, 2 receptions for 24 yards, 3.4 fantasy points. Dalton Kincaid was a flopperooski. And our number 10 and last but not least player that was an underachiever in week 10 was Mike Gesicki. Everybody went out there and picked up Mike Gesicki. He's going against Baltimore's piss poor defense. Number 23, he ended up overall in fantasy scoring with 5 points. Mike Gesicki underachieved, seeing that his quarterback threw for 400 plus yards and all he got was 30. But he's going to have better days. I would start him unless you got a better option in week 11. It's your boy Hot Soup, man. That's our Underachievers for week 10. It's your boy Hot Soup. We on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Come check us out. Like and subscribe if you have any lineup issues. Inbox me. Hit me on the comments. I'll get back to you within 24 hours. It's your boy Soupy. And I'm out.